Okay, let's dive right into it. I'd like to talk about my community called Orange Mound. First, I'd like to start off with saying that Orange Mound is one of the first neighborhoods and community in America that was by built for Black people. Uh, Back in the 1800s, this community was one vibrant place to be in the South. Orange Mound was considered the Harlem down south, and also one of the biggest neighborhoods and communities next to Harlem. Harlem was the biggest, and there's so much rich history in my community that man, my mom talked about it all the time, and she would tell me the stuff that was going on back then. You had the showcase that was on Park Avenue on a Friday, Saturday night, even a Sunday night. You had a lot of musicians that came out of Orange Mound back then. And you had other musicians from different neighborhoods used to come to Orange Mound to the showcase to show their talent. Uh, Man, it was a lot of blues musicians, jazz musicians. Uh, Back then, Park Avenue Park Avenue was like a nice strip. You even had an Orange Mound motel. Orange Mound Motel is sit right on Park and Grand, across from Speedy Corner Store. It actually used to be a hotel right there. Uh, there's some lot of stuff that's not there that used to be there a long time ago, and it was Park Avenue was it was you had barbershops there. You even have churches, a lot of church and stuff. That was in Orange Mound. Uh, Orange Mound back then was, man, it was nice. It was nice. I hear some of my friends, their moms talk about it. I have a dear friend of mine named Terry Hill. He from Orange Mound, and she used to always tell us about how Orange Mound used to be and how good it was. I'm just glad that I was able to see these things as a kid, because in 1970, in 1975, I grew up around the best people around me. We knew everybody from 4 blocks over. They knew us. We had candy ladies. We had freeze cup ladies. I'll never forget the freeze cup lady that was on Raymond Street, across the street from Mount Gilligan Church. And she used to put the quarters at the bottom of our freeze cup, but she used to wrap them in aluminum foil. So it was like we would get a perk. We would know if we get a nickel, a quarter, a dime. I mean, we used to get a lot of stuff, I was raised in that area where I saw everything that was nice. People cut their yard. Uh, Everybody was competing with who y'all looked the best. Uh, Man, it was nice. It was nice back then. But now in 1980, Orange Mound was started to get a little bad. You had you had doctors move. You had not doctors, but you had people that with higher education. They started moving out. You had people that was dying, and they were leaving their house to their next of kin, and they were unable to take care of the house. So they either moved out the house or they sold the house for a lesser value. And then you start seeing a lot of pawn shops in Orange Mound. It was like the pawn shops and the liquor stores were competing with each other. That was in the 80s, and the 80s was the beginning of the downfall of Orange Mound. You start seeing a lot of drugs. Wasn't really no gang activity in the 80s, but you can see it was getting merged into it. In 1990 to 96, that's when it was terrible. Man, you had your murder rate there, people was killing, people was coming up missing. And at that time, people who had money and who was well educated, they was moving out. They was selling their house or moving out. You saw people that moved back into the neighborhood, but they didn't care. So the neighborhood started deteriorating. It was deteriorating. It was getting terrible, worse. So bad, about so much stuff that's going on. You had all the drugs which was coming in. You had everything from people that was coming into Orange Mound and people who were staying in Orange Mound really weren't caring. You had people that still cared about Orange Mound, but it was people in Orange Mound, they really didn't care about the community. They only cared about, let me push these drugs and get paid, in which it almost destroyed Orange Mound. But Orange Mound, it bounced back. It always do. It always do. Now, Orange Mound started bouncing back in 2000. They had a community. The community was getting together. It was fun. It was like, I think the Ford Foundation was putting money into it. They had like a grant or something they was doing. They was doing stuff on education, empowerment. They was doing stuff like projects and stuff that was trying to revamp Orange Mound. That was in 2000. In 2003, it was even getting better. It was getting better. 2003, it was this program they had in Orange Mound. It was called SMART. And it was targeted to targeting houses that was in Orange Mound that need to be remodeled or need to be redid. You start seeing a lot of declining in killing and selling drugs and everything else. Gang activity was just slightly getting a little, it was edging up a little bit, but it wasn't terrible. So Orange Mound is gonna continue to bounce back, cause you have a small pocket of people that's still in Orange Mound. I myself, my family, most of my family are still in Orange Mound, and generations to come. And just these small little pockets that's in Orange Mound that actually cares about the community and will actually bring the community back. Now, in 2004, okay, 2004, Orange Mound, it was making much progress. Much progress. It was getting better. So between 2000 and 2003 and 2004, Orange Mound was making a comeback. It was coming back big, real big. And you can tell because people walking around with their heads up. Not to mention you have Friday night football games, and that was a tradition. All the alumni come there. You had the Orange Mound Community Center across the street from Melrose Football Stadium. And it was just a nice place where old alumni would come and just have fellowship and catch up on old times. People that have moved out the neighborhoods, they coming back. You have people that moved to Atlanta. You have people that moved all over United States will come back. And that's a little history of Orange Mound. And I hope you enjoyed this right here. I hope you give me some thumbs or subscribe. I'll be giving you each week. I'll be giving you a little something about Orange Mound and in the history behind Orange Mound.